from the high desert.
Want to take a ride? From the high desert and the great American Southwest. From the Coast to Coast AM archives, you're listening to the best of Art Bell.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, or good morning, as the case may be, across all these time zones. Howdy.
Hi, Art. How you doing?
I'm doing.
So, from New York City, staying up late, here is Dr. Malachi Martin.
For a very long time, I've been on a search for some sort of proof of life after death.
Here is somebody who calls himself Single 7. Single, are you there?
Yes, I am.
There's going to be the biggest UFO sighting of the century.
You're listening to Art Bell on Premier Networks.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in all 24 of Earth's time zones. I'm Art Bell, and the program you're listening to is Coast to Coast AM. And you never, ever know, nor do I most times, what's going to be on this program next. Tonight is going to be very, very interesting, potentially very interesting.
Welcome to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from May 17th, 2002.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon, Friday night, Saturday morning here in this part of the good old USA. This program covered all the way around the world in all 24 time zones, so hello there. Friday night, Saturday morning with, boy, a couple of real changes this Friday night, Saturday morning. It was a short week for me. We're going to do a couple of things. Number one, we're going to talk to the amazing Kreskin here in a moment. And he's done an amazing thing, living up to name, I guess, huh? And he said that there's going to be in May or June, i.e. right now, or the foreseeable future, there's going to be a gigantic, one of the biggest UFO sightings in all of history, virtually right over my head here in Nevada. And if it doesn't happen, why, he's donating $50,000 to an as of yet unnamed charity. Wonder if I'd qualify as a charity. Probably not. Kreskin is a really interesting guy. For over 4 decades now, he's dramatized the unique facets of the human mind, including his own. And all of this began at childhood for him. And I think most of you really know about the amazing Kreskin, the amazing prediction, backed up with $50,000. $50,000. That's a lot of money, isn't it? So, in a moment, having heard, I think you all heard about Kreskin's amazing prediction, we'll talk to Kreskin about it and find out how this came to be and why he decided to put up money and all that kind of stuff. So, stay right there. Okay, as I said, I think you just know who the amazing Kreskin is. He's an amazing guy. We'll let him tell you more about himself, but the main thing that's got him here right now is this incredible prediction. Kreskin, welcome to the show.
Well, not good to talk to you, Art. You know, everywhere I go, and I mean this quite sincerely, people ask me, have I spoken to you lately? Have we talked? And I'm working here in Vegas at the Silverton, actually for 3 more weeks now. This is 4 more weeks, this week and 3 more. And
so in other words, wait a minute, let me interrupt for just 1 second. So in other words, Kreskin, you're going to be here through the majority of the prediction period.
Yeah, and the irony of it is that, as a matter of fact, what I was saying, by the way, is that after the show tonight at the Silverton, I was doing an autograph saying, we're leaving, we're hurrying to get to a radio at 10 o'clock. Actually, when I made this prediction in March, I wasn't scheduled to be here. I didn't even know I was going to be. It wasn't part of any itinerary. I was touring Canada, and I was in Ontario, and it's a beautiful country if you've been there, and different concert each night, and these were 2.5 hour performances, and a story broke, which you may have discussed, but it was a very fascinating news piece. Some researchers had come to the conclusion that in the past year in Canada, this is as of last March, that there were 42% increase in sightings of UFOs in the country. I guess
that was in Canada. Yeah, I was all over that story.
Yeah, and it was interesting. And then the press came to me. The reason they had come is that a year and a half ago, the Learning Channel, the cable channel here in the States, did 1 week of documentary, 1 hour each night on UFOs, and they had me as one of the consultants for the first and second night to kind of comment on what my thoughts were regarding the abduction stories, and they just wanted a different viewpoint and
wait a minute, what did you say? What did you tell them? They asked your viewpoint on abduction. What did you say?
Well, in the abduction incident, and I have felt that I've never been convinced of abductions. I know that people are sincere, but I felt that most abductions were working best if it were a few guys fishing in a swamp that have been drinking heavily. Now, don't misunderstand me. I know there are some people who are seriously convinced they've been abducted, and just as there's some people who have been seriously convinced that they are multiple personalities. And the personality pattern seems to be the same, that the memories seem to be dredged up that they didn't seem to be aware of for a long, long time, which interests me because while we are under the influence, the opinion in the Western world, that under some highly specialized techniques such as hypnosis, people can be made to recall repressed memories. Regarding hypnosis, that's a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah, well, the controversy is that such ideas can be injected as well.
Yeah, so. But also the interesting thing is that if you really get to know individuals who've had traumatic experience, such as servicemen, they really don't forget the experiences. It's very difficult to forget something you don't want to think about. Try not to think of the word octopus. And when they're traumatic, what is found, and my background's in psychology, and I've known psychologists through the years, is that they don't talk about it. They just push it away.
Kreskin, do you know Travis Walton?
I know about Travis Walton, but I don't know.
You know about Travis? I interviewed extensively. I really interviewed him for a long time, and his boss. This is a really well-documented story. They've done lie detectors. They've really been down the road. I'm convinced that was a real abduction.
Yeah. I respect your thoughts, but by the way, listen, I have in my family over a dozen people in law enforcement. I have worked on 84 crime cases through the years. I have great respect for law enforcement, but I don't think the lie detector can tell if a person is telling the truth or not. If a person is morally strong or has great fear, they can use the lie detector as a focal point to break them in some way because of the fear of it. And I know polygraph experts.
Can you fool a lie detector?
Yes. A lot of people can. Lots and lots and lots of people can.
And describe to me how you do that.
Well, you have to have a mindset. You have to rehearse certain stress reactions to innocuous things as well as things that
do you use biofeedback practice?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can teach. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but the lie detector, as we know, is a machine. It's the interpretation of the lie detector. One of my close friends for years, Tom McFadden, who was a very fine polygraph expert in New Jersey. Unfortunately, he's passed on. Well, he used to tell me most of the confessions they got with the polygraph was before they plugged it in. The machine is ominously scary. And if you believe it works, it tends to have much more effectiveness than if you kind of have yourself disinterested. Now, I'm not saying that this proves or disproves. I believe many people believe they were abducted. I believe they absolutely believe. And listen, I am no authority on abductions. I just had to place it from my viewpoint. But they came to me in Canada because they were aware of the first two programs and so forth, and they asked me, and I found it interesting, as you've talked about the 42% and so forth, and I came to make a statement, and that was simply this. I felt very, very strongly that the next great sightings of UFOs, and when I say sightings, Art, I don't mean a group of guys, as I said, fishing, or a few people pottering into some corner of a remote forest. But I mean, when I say sightings, I mean scores of people, not 10, 15. I mean scores of people.
You're talking about something the magnitude of the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, and yes. And I think it will take place. Now, they've asked me, I've just 3 hours ago been interviewed by people, reporters in Ireland and England, are saying, well, we got the map in front of us, can you pinpoint? Jesus, I'm not, forgive me, I didn't mean to put it that way, but I don't have contact with any. Okay,
just to get it straight,
I also have to say,
it was Nevada, right?
Yeah, it's going to be on the desert in Nevada, outside the outskirts of Las Vegas. And I think that the amount of UFOs, it's not going to be some star shower, misinterpreted as all kinds of lights. I think we'll only number 3 or 4, but it will be either this, and I said this in March, and there were full stories that it'll be in March or June, but I did something further.
You said, wait a minute, you said May or June.
May or June. I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's all right.
I said it in March, but I'm glad you're tracking me. After a show, sometimes I get a little bit disoriented, but it'll be in May or June, and as I said in March. But when Regis and some of the shows started discussing it 3 weeks ago, I thought I have to follow through further what I promised. I said last March that when I came back to the States, I would further formalize my position. And I went on the Fox News Network. I've known Roger Ailes, who's the head of Fox for many years, since he was with Mike Douglas, and then he went to Nixon, worked for Nixon, and then he worked for Reagan, and then became Bush's campaign manager the first election. The second was a disaster for Bush. Roger left and said he had it with politics. He went back to head a network. I went to them 2 weeks ago, Monday morning, and handed them a letter in my own handwriting that further said, as I promised, if I fail, that I would turn over $50,000 to them, to the news network staff, for them to distribute to whatever charities they see fit. The reason I made is
stop for a second.
I'm sorry.
Let's go back to why you did this in the first place. I would be interested to know how this came to you.
I'm really not into. For many years, I just turned against the ideas of making predictions. There's a whole story about this.
Right, but you just did so. You just did so. Let's get this out of the way. How did this come to you?
I made a clear, concise conclusion after thinking about it for literally a day and a half. And I turned to my road manager, and he said, "You're out of your mind. Why are you saying this?" I said, "I'm absolutely certain this is going to take place, but I'm also certain And I hope I'm here. I'm going home every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday because of work in the East Coast. I hope I'm here the day will happen, because one way or the other, I'm going to hold a press conference the next day and explain a couple of things, the further reasons behind this, and why I feel in the climate of the world today since 9/11 that this takes on remarkably more serious significance than just some report that's going to be talked about for the next century.
Okay, stop again. You still haven't answered my question. Exactly in what manner did this come to you? Did this come to you over you said a period of time? Did you just begin to form a conclusion? Did you see something?
It didn't happen immediately. I did not see anything. I didn't get any visions, no.
Okay.
It came over a series of... Now, I have through the years studied the history of sightings. You know, Art, the only thing we ever really learn from history, as I'm sure you agree, is that we never learn from history.
Right.
And history does tend to repeat itself if only we would study it. If we would study it regarding wars, if we would study it regarding famines, if we would study it regarding changes of society, it
absolutely repeats itself.
It will, it will continue to. And listen, folks listening, and there's only one thing I'm going to say.
But you know, just saying history repeats itself isn't enough to put up $50,000.
No. Well, there are further reasons that I really have to hold reserved until after this transpires, because and I would like to have you amongst the first to communicate the factors behind this. There's far more to this than just the sightings. Far more to this than just the sightings. And I don't want to say people. I'm not interested.
Oh, come on now. Wait, stop. More, please. There is more to this than the sightings. Now, and then you say something about not wanting to create panic. All right, now that carries with it the weight of contact. Yes?
No, not contact. I've never, and by the way, before people start misinterpreting me, as I've said every night, not only here at the Silverton, but in concerts around the country since March, I am long convinced that there is intelligence beyond this earth here, and God forbid, Art, we're the only intelligence. God, heaven forbid, that we're the only intelligence on earth. I just can't conceive. Furthermore, I've spent too much time. It will be in about 3 months. It has been estimated by the airline people that I will have flown 3 million miles, which is more than any commercial pilot in this country or Canada.
Really?
I spent an awful lot of time over those 3 million miles now. I don't want to get anybody...
Do you really like flying that much? I've come to hate it. I mean, 15 hours to the Orient, for example. 15-hour plane flights really suck.
I just came back from New Zealand. That was 28 hours.
Really.
But can I say something in fairness to the airline industry?
Oh, yes.
I've got to say...
You're alive.
The airlines are in great trouble today.
Yes, I know.
Flights are filled because there's not as many flights. And folks listening in, I don't care what anybody says, this is the safest time to fly. You can't go on a plane with a pair of tweezers. I'm sick and tired of news broadcasts sensationalizing the exceptions. There's always exceptions in life. This is a wonderful... I will tell you, and I said this on CNN New Year's Day, why 4 airlines will go out of business and already 2 have in this... Well, American was brought in by TWA, and a Canadian company's already gone. Sadly enough, it's not going to be the vacationers. It's going to be the businessman who flies from Newark to Pittsburgh every day and flies home. He cannot every day go through the 2-hour security before the flight and the 2-hour coming home every day. So like the replacement of the saddle with the car, the replacement of airlines will be video conferencing in offices. It's very sad, because this is one of the great industries of our history, airline industry, but this is going to be the price.
I feel sorry for the airlines, Kreskin, and I feel sorry for the post office, too.
Yes, yes.
The poor postal employees are suffering because of the damned attack, and these are big things. I mean, this September 11th thing, the repercussions of it for our whole economy, for our whole country, cannot be underestimated.
I never was into everybody knows me as a thought reader, as a mentalist. If they see me, like tonight here at the Silverton, one lady stood up in the audience, I told her the names of her 3 cats and an address she'd had 10 years ago, which she was thinking about, because if she asked me where am I going to go next year and didn't know, I couldn't answer. But 9 years ago, CNN News Network came to me and said, come on New Year's Day and talk about the future. I said, I'm not into this business. I'm really not into this. They said, Creston, we got astrologers on, we got all this business. Yeah, but I said, they make dozens of predictions. You remember what comes true, what doesn't. They said, well, you travel a lot. Come on. Well, let me tell you. I came on. And we had a little bit of fun, but we started getting calls everywhere. I said, oh my God, people are serious about this. Let me next year reflect upon this. And I got more and more serious. And 1 year I took a shot at the Academy Awards, and it was the day before, and I handed the producer on the air, I said, this is the list of the top 12. We won't announce it. Put it in a box after you read it, and tomorrow we'll open it. And I was correct. They called me the next year. I said, never again. I spent 30 hours preparing that list. 30 hours. I studied the reviews of every single writer in the world I could find and found certain of them were good when they anticipated the best script, but they weren't good at the movie, and on and on. So most predictions are like a weatherman. You take what exists, because nothing in the future is totally excluded from today. It's part of a continuation.
Well, I don't see the weather guys on the local channel laying $50,000 on their prediction.
All right, I've had better success than they have. So what I have to tell you, so three years ago, I went on. Boy, did the press in New York scare me. I said, and you got to realize, at the moment I said this on this January 1st, it wasn't even a rumor. I said, Hillary Clinton is going to run for office in the United States Senate in New York, and she's going to win. Well, at that moment it wasn't a rumor. Then she thought she'd run, and they said no. And then she ran. They thought it was going to be a joke, and she won. The second thing I said that day, and these are all recorded.
Oh, yes.
I said, Bill Gates of Microsoft. There was a lot of controversy, remember, with the government.
Oh, yes.
I said in 11 days he would step down. Art, this is, as an entertainer, on a series, that's one of my cherished moments. I was traveling 12 days later, and CNN, of course, is international with their news. They interrupted one of their news pieces and said, we want to announce just at this moment, Mr. Bill Gates has said to step down. Oh, thank you, Creston. I've never been thanked for a headline story in my life. So on and on it went, and then...
hold on, Creston. And then we'll have to wait until after the break here at the bottom of the hour. My guest is... the amazing Creston, who's made a prediction about the skies above my head from the desert, the high desert. This is Coast to Coast AM.
The trip back in time continues with Art Bell hosting Coast to Coast AM. More Somewhere in Time coming up.
This is Art Bell, inviting you to join me every weeknight for interesting and controversial talk from Area 51 in Nevada, UFOs, time travel, the paranormal. Look, if you're talking about it or possibly just even thinking about it, you can guarantee we'll be covering it. It's Coast to Coast with me, Art Bell. Take a flight into strange airspace. Explore a world of mystery and supernatural phenomena. Don't take a wrong turn, though. You might run into the monsters of your dreams. This week on Dreamland, Mark Smith, author of Auras. See them in only 60 seconds. Hello, I'm Art Bell. I'll guide you safely through Dreamland into the kingdom of Nine.
we take you back to the past on Art Bell Somewhere in Time.
Friday night, Saturday morning underway. These are some of the actual words Kreskin used. Quote, I am absolutely convinced that in May or June of this year, the largest sighting to date will take place in the Nevada desert, probably the largest sighting in the past century. Continuing the quote, I'm so convinced of the accuracy of my prediction that I'm putting up $50,000 to back my claim. We've got Kreskin here in a minute. We're going to push harder. Once again, the amazing Kreskin. Now, it's very important, Kreskin, that I really try hard to pin you down here. You said something about there was more to the sighting than you had told, and that you didn't want to create panic. If I don't push you on this, I got to push on this. So
well, you can put, but
you give me something.
I can't really, and I'm being honest.
You can give me a little something.
I think. Well, first of all, since the world is not the same since 9/11, and
still just whisper something in my ear.
It's not the same since, and events that happen that could have worldwide attention could take on far greater meaning or significance that obviously than if something like this happened in a time of peace. I don't, and yet I don't have any fear. I don't feel that there's the presentment of an attack or what have you. But that's all I can say, right? Because listen, it's far be it from me. I'm not reading the thoughts of aliens. Something
to, would it be fair to say then, something that will be of the magnitude that will attract the attention of the entire world?
Oh, I think to a degree, yes, it will. I think, well, not the entire world, though people will turn up, but the interpretation of it, of course, we look at all the vast literature on UFOs. If we look at the various writers, from science writers to science fiction writers.
I don't suppose you can tell me whether this is going to happen when I'm on the air, can you?
No, I can't. Please. If I'm correct in May or June, can I be given some credit?
If you're correct on this, you're going to get credit beyond all reason. I mean, it's just your credibility will go through.
Can I say something? There's once before. This is with things as serious as they are now, we have to look. My hero in the last century was a man by the name of Winston Churchill, whom I never knew, but my God, the more you study him, I mean, the darkest days.
An amazing man.
Yes, he was. And you talk to people, if anyone ever walks near this state that worked with him, you got to entice them in some way. It's incredible in the darkest days.
In some ways, Kreskin, it always happens. In the darkest days for America, when we need leadership the most, we seem to get it. And that's just the way it seems to work. I mean, somebody rises to the occasion.
Someone told me, and I worked in England a great deal, and someone who had worked with him and traveled with him, I could go on for 2 hours with stories about it. But anyway, they said one night, and you remember we studied history in the early 40s, in 1941, there were bombs falling every night. I mean, every night. And his war officer said to the Prime Minister, "It's too dangerous. We got to close the cinema. We got to close the nightclubs and everything." He jumped up, rammed his fist, and almost broke his hand, rammed the table, and with language I won't say, said, "Damn it! What do you think we're fighting for? Life is going to go on. We must never cower to anything. Fear is the most paralyzing thing of all." And but I got to tell you something on the lighter side. There was one other time.
Do you think this will be perceived as a very fearful event?
No.
Well, you use the word. You use the word panic.
Well, that's another thing. Anything.
They're pretty closely connected.
Yes.
Fear. Panic.
And you and I both know that we tend to either attack or fear something we don't understand. Isn't it an interesting trait?
Absolutely.
Gosh, God forbid if 5 angels sent by God landed on Earth, and it wasn't simply the day the Earth stood still. You know as well as I do, a fair amount of population would attack them. What has always fascinated me, and I have been privy to people in the intelligence field, as I suspect you have as well, is that during the Second World War, and I know a man who was one of the key heads of it, one of the great fears in the Second World War, and this fascinates me, when there was beginning to become awareness of whether they call them UFOs or not, possibly other sources of intelligence in the universe revealing itself. Listen to this, Art. One of the great fears, and it was discussed, I am told on hundreds of occasions in meetings in the Pentagon, would modern society, or how would they handle something if they became absolutely certain that another source of intelligence was higher, much higher than yours and I?
The Brookings Institution, Kreskin, did that study.
Yes,
they did that study. They were commissioned to do the study,
yes,
and the answers were incredible.
And speculate, we may say, well, we'll accept it easily. I am not so sure. I am not so sure.
Oh, I'm not either.
But I got on the other side of the coin a couple of years ago, and I say this now lightly, but it was a nightmare in my life. I will never do this again. I decided to take a shot at the elections, and of course it was President Bush, and I was Gore and Bush, and they're running for office, and I went on a daytime show, controversial, but he's been very, very good to me, and that's Howard Stern. And I went on with a statement, and I didn't reveal it. We put it in a safe on the air with a check for a substantial amount of money if I failed. Now, Stern rightly said, well, Kreskin, that's only a 50-50 shot. And I said, well, that's why I'm putting the money behind it. Now, let me tell you the background. What nobody knew is the Detective Otto, who came on with me. I did not know. He was from a city in New Jersey. He had quietly read the prediction. He knew it. So the idea this was some magical trick, or as Stern and I agreed to play with it, said, well, maybe there's 2 compartments in the safe and all this jazz. Furthermore, I had sent copies of the prediction to 5 people, 2 writers, a very famous psychiatrist, the president, one of the presidents of the Gazette newspaper, all were who told, don't open it until the day. We were waiting, and Art, forgive me, but I do have fun. We were waiting for some skeptics to come out of the rafter and say, well, this is some gimmick, because I could not sue them for money, but they would have been in trouble. Now, election Eve, I come back from a show in Pennsylvania. It was a corporate affair, and I'm, needless to say, glued to the TV set. And if you remember that evening, it finally was decided that President Bush had won. I called 32 or 22 people. I said, oh, don't worry. My attorney, who said, you're insane putting this money at my account, I said, it's safe. Then, Art, I went through 38 of the most harrowing days of my life.
We all did.
But I had
it seemed like the most harrowing thing at the time.
Finally, when it came. By the way, during that October, I was performing 3 shows a night at Busch Gardens, and I talked to hundreds and hundreds of people from Florida, and I'm still convinced that had the count been more accurate and thorough, that I would have been wrong and that Gore would have won. Well, that's only history now. It's gone. So finally, when it was all over, and Stern opened the safe, and I had predicted Bush, but I also said, with the disclaimer that this does not involve the money, I also said that Bush would carry 31 states, and if I was wrong, it would be by 1, and he carried 30 states. But Art, hear this. Never again will I get involved in a political thing like this.
Why?
No, because look at the nightmare of 38 days. No more.
Yeah. Well, that was of course, that's now part of history. It was an amazing time that America came through actually very well, as you look back.
Yes, that was the interesting thing. Unlike other countries of the world who would have handled this, if we look at history, with riots and everything else.
Absolutely.
But you know what was interesting about it is it was so remarkably close that if it were done in the form of a movie, it would have seemed to be rather silly and non-convincing, in the same way that a year ago New Year's Day... Too incredible. And then a year ago New Year's Day, on January 1st, of the 8 or 9 predictions I made on CNN, I said that my favorite team, the Yankees, I said, I hope Mayor Giuliani, and of course, he was mayor at that time, and today mayor of the world, but I said, I hope Mayor Giuliani is upset. It's my favorite team, but they're not going to win the World Series this year. And I was on ESPN a few months ago because they kept saying, I didn't know this, they quoting me. If you looked at the last World Series, it was like a movie melodrama. It was so darn close.
Absolutely incredible.
But the Yankees...
Everything's incredible these days.
So this year, I have to say this with a kind of quiet satisfaction, and because the night before 9/11, I was performing, ironically enough, not many minutes away from the Twin Towers for Continental, and at that time they were soaring in success and what have you. And then 5 days later, to walk towards the site and Regis coming towards me in the other direction, both white as a sheet. I will not even talk about it. I cannot discuss it. It's one of the harrowing moments of my life. But to see how the world has changed and I hope one thing will take place.
Events are accelerating.
They're accelerating. That's the thing. We're not as easily able to stop the world, breathe the trees and the leaves, and reflect. And this scares me. The other thing, Art...
It's really interesting to observe, though, Kreskin. I've been watching it and noting it now for some years, and it's really interesting to watch it unfold.
It is
in a morbid kind of way.
Yeah, yes. You said something very. But by the way, I got a kick out of this. I said one of the other things I said on New Year's Day, and I talked about lighter things. I said, Mr. Mayor, with his politically incorrect, will go off the air in 6 months, and I just got calls from writers that said, "Yeah, you hit the nail." And I said, "Well, the climate of the show was not appropriate for a time of war, even though I have a lot of respect for him." I also said something that the New York Times finally corroborated a month and a half ago. I said something that at the time didn't seem to make sense. With the economy, as much as a struggle it is, and it's a tough economy, and Greenspan and so forth, their predictions have not been extremely successful or optimistically effective. But I said New Year's Day, I said people are going to be buying larger homes or remodeling to larger kitchens, and boy, did we get flack. And now, don't you know, 3 weeks ago in the Times, it pointed out because people are not traveling as much and they're spending time at home with human beings. They, in my lifetime as an Italian and a Polish guy, much of our visitations were in people's kitchens.
I have a little complaint, Kristen. All the movies that I've seen, or so many movies from Hollywood, in the movies and in stories, and now in your prediction, Nevada always gets screwed.
Oh,
I'm telling you, they blew up Pahrump where I live here in Mars Attacks. You remember Mars Attacks?
Oh, my God.
Nevada is always either blown up with a nuclear weapon or the place where the aliens come.
But you know something?
And we're tired of it to some degree. And now here comes your prediction. Maybe the largest sighting in all of history, or the last 100 years. That's really, really serious stuff.
But Nevada and Las Vegas and the state has survived. I happen to have. I say to people, 3 million miles is a lot of flying. By the way, and you will sympathize with this, my secretary some months ago, the phone rang. I'm only home 4 days a month, and she's laughing. And I said, "What are you laughing at?" And she says, "Well, it's the airlines." I say, "What's so funny?" And I won't mention which airline. They've all been good to me. She says, "They called and they said, you got enough frequent flyers to go around the world, 20, 30 times. It wouldn't cost you anything." I said, "Diane, for a vacation, I don't want to go on a plane around the world. I live in airplanes."
So what do you do for a vacation?
Well,
go home and sit?
I backpack. I've canoed. I've gone down the Grand Canyon. I've camped in Machu Picchu in Peru. But I say to people, as much as I've in the past year and a half performed in Spain, Italy, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Wales, Norway, and on and I could go. Why do you go out of this country before you see places like Lake Tahoe, like Jackson Hole, Wyoming? This country has so much extraordinary beauty.
I agree with that.
To reflect upon, and I'm not knocking the rest of the world, but for God's sakes, see this country first. You will see why men and women have sacrificed their lives.
Yes, but going out of the country gives one an immediate appreciation for it. I mean, immediate. I don't really care where you go. You will suddenly appreciate everything we have here. And the contrast is so stark. It's good for people to get out of the country and make a comparison. It helps.
Well, I would like to think that the most dramatic prediction I ever made. I've written a book, and I'm going to see to it that a copy gets to you. There's a story behind this book, and Newsweek, a writer for Newsweek, researched it and said that it is absolutely true that the galleys were printed before 2001. So anybody who doubts me, you can argue with the Newsweek writer, and he did extraordinary research. What I did, Art, is I thought to myself, the only one that has a right to foretell the future, the most right, is a person in their own field. So I did something which became a literary nightmare. I went to 90 people and said, I want you to write a chapter or some pages and reflect upon how your profession will change in the next 100 years. So the book is called Kreskin's Future with the Stars. Okay. But, Art, try to keep 90 people to fulfilling an agenda of time. Oh, my God. I mean...
It's now, in our time zone, just a little before 11 o'clock. Oh, now, you're doing an hour with me. Did you just come off doing a stage show?
Yeah, here at the Silverton, and I'm here to shoot.
When did you come off stage?
Literally an hour and a half ago.
An hour and a half ago, all right. There's enough adrenaline cooking around in you right now to keep you going, it sounds like, for another 2 or 3 hours easy. So... how is it for you after you do a show? You're obviously, you know, the adrenaline gets. We both know how it works, right?
You know, you have it too, Art.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking the question. How long does it take you to get back down?
Well, I run an hour every night. I run about 4 in the morning. I've done it all my life, it takes me 2 or 3 hours. And, you know, it's like, compared to an athlete, does an athlete go to bed after the baseball game? Does he go to bed after football?
Oh no. No, of course not. No. Anybody who does something like this, it's a psychological thing you do to yourself. Yeah. And I was wondering how long it took you to get out of it.
It's about 2 hours. 2.5 hours.
Easily 2.5 hours.
And because, you know, I'm on the intensity of what I do. You know, a magician has his props. A musician has the piano, an organ, a violin. But I'm working with the most unpredictable commodity of all, and that's the human mind. So, you know, people have asked me.
I want to ask you this. I really do. You're a magician, which implies...
Well, I'm a mentalist. I use the term mentalist.
Okay. Well, but magician would work too, right?
Well, not so much anymore because my hero, my start was a comic strip most people don't remember called Mandrake the Magician.
What I was going to ask is, do you do magic?
No, very little.
Very little.
I do about 4 minutes in my program, but...
And the rest is all
dealing with the mind, the power of suggestion, thought reading. Now, Johnny Carson, in the 88 shows I did with him, which is, they tell me is a record of I just did a few weeks ago, my 108th show with Regis. But in the 88 shows, what people don't know is that Jack Pierce, bless his soul, it was a prop man, would rush on and put behind a prop on the set a deck of playing cards and hide it there. And Carson, I would go on, I would read the thoughts of some of the guests, what have you. But during the break, Johnny, who was a magician at one time,
I remember watching you on.
Yes, and he'd say to me, you know, Kreskin, I do sleight of hand, meaning Carson. He says, but what you do with the mind with cards, and obvious, if you saw me tonight at the Silverton, by the way, a lot of people, UFO people, are coming to ask me questions after the show. But if you see what happens with cards on stage, and it's not sleight of hand. I mean, I had someone leave the set, go into the back of the theater, and just take a set of cards and concentrate on them. And I read in the order that they were looking at them. This is why I can't play poker anywhere on the face of the earth. I mean, you'd be interviewing me in concrete tomorrow. So, but anyway, but I have to tell you something. I compare myself in this way.
Look, we're almost out of time.
Yeah. Listen,
we're running out of time.
Can I will promise you one thing. If I come close to decide feeling the particular day, even if it's 2 days from it, and so what have you,
call me instantly.
Your schedules. Maybe I can talk to you for 5 minutes because you've been very good to me.
Here's the upside, Kreskin, of the whole thing. If what you say now that you've made this prediction so public, there's going to be a zillion people out there with video cameras, so we'll really get to see what happens.
And Art, let's just say, I'm not going to say goodbye to you. I'm going to say to be continued, and probably in greater depth in the very near future.
We'll do a whole show, Kreskin.
Take care, Art.
For now, later. So there you go. That's the amazing Kreskin, and those are his words.
You're listening to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from May 17th, 2002.
I gave you love. I thought that we So that's what I've been tossing around in my own mind. I have some pretty big doubts about this. I mean, who wouldn't? How often do you get anybody who goes out on a limb like that and is saying virtually tomorrow night between 9:50 and midnight the biggest UFO event of the century is going to happen? Pretty far out on a rope, I'd say. Far enough that it doesn't necessarily make sense to me that he would do it. Well, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. So there you have my comments on it, for what they're worth. So let's go to the line, see what's out there. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art. If Kreskin misses tomorrow night, he's going to be 0 for 2 in the prediction department. Right after George Bush was elected president.
Which he did predict, I believe.
Yeah, he did predict that, but he made a secondary prediction. He said within a short time after Bush's inauguration, some Hollywood actress was going to come forward and accuse Bush of having had a sexual affair with her. And that never happened.
Hasn't happened, huh?
Because that period expired a long time ago. And
okay, I don't remember that one, but I'll
ask him about it. He won't deny it because that prediction is well documented. So,
Well, what do you... Yeah, but still in all, really dig down into the psychology of this and try and figure out, put yourself in his position. Why make such a short-term prediction and then be wrong? Isn't the downside of being wrong after stirring people up bigger than the advantage you gain from any publicity?
Well, let's say he was going to give that $50,000 to charity anyway. Let's say he's a big benefactor of charities.
Yeah, so let's say I'm talking, but forget the $50,000 for a second. I'm talking about how he'll be viewed.
Well, I mean, he's not always right. He did miss on one already. So, why don't you throw up a camera on your property, put it on the web, point it towards Vegas, and let everybody watch?
Well, I might do that. That's good. That's a pretty good idea. I have one. In fact, I do have one.
Yeah, you did that once before, didn't you?
That's right. I'll do it. Sure. I've got a night vision.
There you
camera.
go. That'd be even...
Okay, you got it.
Sure thing.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
I'll do that, sure. And then I'll let the webcam run and take a picture every, every minute or something? Sure, why not? I'll crank up the night vision camera tomorrow. I pointed at Vegas. I can do that. Very good thought, sir. I don't understand the psychology of this. I mean, yeah, sure, you can figure the $50,000 in a lot of ways. Kreskin, I'm sure, has $50,000 to burn. So I'm not looking at it from that point of view. If you're coming at it from a skeptical point of view, which I am, then it doesn't make sense because it's too short term and the downside is too big if you're wrong. Sure, yeah, you can stand out there in the middle of the desert at midnight and say, well, I was wrong. See you guys. But the guy from Sydney, Australia, he's probably not going to be too happy about that. So, I mean, there's got to be a big downside to this if you're wrong in such a short term. And the psychology of it, as I tried to play it out in my own head, doesn't make sense. Unless you really know something. Again, my listeners are a pretty damn sophisticated bunch of people. They would even know a launch from Vandenberg. They'd know what that looks like. They've seen it out here. See them all the time. Satellites? Please. We've seen those. The space station is pretty spectacular when it comes across, but it's got to be a little closer to sunset to be really spectacular. But still, you know what that is, moving at a steady rate across the sky. He's talking about craft. 3 or 4 craft. And the biggest UFO sighting in the century. So, I don't know. I can't figure it out myself. And I've really tried to think about it from his point of view. East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hey, Art. How you feeling?
Fine, sir. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, let's not lose sight of the simple elementary thing. This is showbiz. Okay?
Yeah, okay, but you look at it from a showbiz point of view. It's fine right up until midnight when you got to stand there and say, well, guess I was wrong.
Yeah.
Then the downside is bigger than the short-term
I agree with you. I agree with you on that point. A logical observation you've made, and I agree with you. He's a mentalist, or he markets himself or books himself as a mentalist. Is that what he's doing? He's playing with our heads?
He says mentalist. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think he does some hypnotic stuff and
suggestions.
But yeah, sure.
How about this?
But look, there are going to be TV cameras out there from local stations and all that kind of thing. So
how about this, Art? Just kicking the can around the block here. How about a hologram projection? Would we be able to discern between is it live or Memorex?
Well, number one, there aren't going to be any clouds to speak of. Forecast is clear sky, very clear skies, in fact, right now out here.
Well, you can't touch a hologram, and I'm sure no one's tall enough to touch these if they reveal themselves. This is what I'm getting at. Could it be a projection? Could it be a military test? This is only a test.
Well, why would the military, though, whisper into the ear of Kreskin?
Well, they're using him as the agent.
We're going to really have a hell of a test over Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Make a prediction. I don't think so.
Could they be using this to introduce a fear factor into people? I personally...
That would work. That would work. Now,
this is between you and I. If I looked up and I saw 3 craft or 4 craft or even one big craft...
Yes.
I would say, yeah, okay, I think I'm seeing what I'm seeing. What am I to do about it? Turn left, turn right, jump up and down, go hurrah?
Well, actually, I can answer that question for you.
How does it affect you?
I can answer that question for you. Just listen. I'm happy to do that. It did happen to me. Happened to my wife and myself. And it was of a gigantic magnitude. Really, really, really big. I've told the story enough times that I don't really feel like telling it again, but we were, not far from home here, and my wife was in the passenger seat, and I was the driver, and we were coming back from KDWN in Las Vegas after a Sunday night show. And we were, a half mile, quarter mile from home, out here in Pahrump. And my wife said, "What the hell is that?" And she was looking over her shoulder. She somehow caught a glimpse of something enormous coming up behind us. And so I stopped the car, the Geo Metro car, and got out, and we both got out, and she came around to my side, and the damnedest thing, coming up behind us was this monstrous thing like out of, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was triangular. It was so quiet that night you could hear crickets a quarter mile away. I mean, it was dead silent in the desert, no traffic. And this damn thing came right over our heads. I mean, passed directly over us. It looked like you could throw a rock at it. Perfectly triangular, silent, totally dead, flat, silent. I mean, it didn't make a sound. It just didn't make sense. You'd still hear the crickets, and it passed right over us. And then it passed right over the Pahrump Valley and kept on trucking. And we stood there and watched it with our mouths open for probably 5 minutes. Floating, not flying. Could have been doing more than 30, 40 miles an hour. Monstrous. The sun, or the moon, which was almost full, and the stars all went away when it passed overhead. So, what happens to you is you go into a sort of a shock. You go into a form of shock, and you're asking each other, did you see what I saw? And you're saying, of course I did. Do you understand what we just saw? And my wife still doesn't really like to talk about it very much. She wasn't really wild about this happening. And I'm neutral on the subject, but at the time, I can tell you, to answer your question, I went into shock, a kind of shock that lasted quite a while, and took me quite a while to come to terms with it. So what I saw either was an extremely advanced craft, indicating that we have learned how to defy gravity. This thing was monstrous. Or it was one of them. Either one probably equally possible, but in answer to your question, you go into a kind of shock, which will last for quite a while. On the wildcard line, you're on the air without a whole lot of time. Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to comment about Kreskin's prediction.
Yes.
There's going to be just one idea to throw out there. Is there's going to be a Iridium satellite flare. These things are pretty bright, -7 magnitude.
Yeah, but that wouldn't do it. Even that wouldn't do it. Iridium satellite, come on.
All right.
People would immediately identify that, and if they didn't, then the TV cameras and all the rest would.
Okay, well, I have one more question. Is he saying that it's going to be the biggest UFO event of the century or of the last century?
Well, if it's of the last century, then you've got to include the Phoenix Lights, for example.
Right.
And if of that magnitude, then my being here in Pahrump 65 miles away with darker skies, I'll be in a better place to view it. If it's right over their heads, I mean, if it's really close in, then I won't see it, I suppose, from here.
For example, say, I don't know what the history of UFO sightings is so far this century. You know, we've only had 1 or 2 years, and he could just be, playing a word game. And no matter what happens, he's guaranteed to have hundreds or thousands of people to see this. And it could well be the biggest UFO event, of this century.
Yeah, you have to allow that as one possibility. I mean, that he could be right. It just seems, it just doesn't seem likely to me, but, I agree with you, sir. It's got to be, and I guess that's why people are traveling, right, from a long way away, because they think it might happen and they don't want to miss it. But still, I don't understand the psychology of all this at all.
Crying on the corner, waiting in the rain, I swear I'll never ever wait again. You gave me a word, words for you are lies.
Desert and the great American Southwest. I bid you all good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be, wherever you are and whatever part of the world you're in, since we covered just about all of it with a program called Coast to Coast AM. Good morning. Good evening, depending on where you are. I'm in the evening place. It's now about 7 minutes after 10 o'clock. 7 after 10, coming up on 7 after 10 Pacific time right now. And I don't know where to begin tonight with the mundane news or we're in this window. We're in the Kreskin window. I guess I might as well begin here, huh? Kreskin, as you know, has made a prediction that there's going to be the biggest UFO sighting of the century, or maybe of a century, I'm not sure, tonight. Now, soon. The window for it began at 9:50 p.m. and as I said, we're at 10:07 and 30 seconds, and that'll tell you how long a delay there is from my voice to your reception, with the delays and such. In fact, let's try that just for fun. If you're watching the clock, you'll be able to tell how much delay time there is. There's a built-in 6 or 7 second delay, and then there's satellite time. For my voice to get to your voice. So we're coming up on 10:08, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. 10:08. So that'll give you some idea now. He said again that between 9:50 and between midnight, so from now until midnight, there's going to be the biggest UFO sighting in a century, or in this century. There is actually a pretty big difference. And we're in that window. So if you want to go, here's what I've done. If you want to go to my website, and I hope we don't bring it down. I really hope we don't bring it down. If you want to go to my website, artbell.com, instead of the usual webcam that I've got there, I have a video camera hooked up to a third-generation night vision scope. Pretty wild stuff, huh? I've had that for several years. And so I've got it pointed at Las Vegas, and I want to explain to you what you're going to see. It's taking a picture, it's snapping a picture every minute. Now, in between those minutes, should I see something, say, spectacular, whatever, I could snap an instant picture. And I want to explain to you, as you take a look at it, what you're going to see if you want to look. Otherwise, all you're going to see is, and okay, here's the picture. On the far left, you're going to see part of a tree. Then you're going to see 2 telephone poles, vertical telephone poles. And they're lit up quite brightly, of course, because, I don't know why. There's some light on them or whatever, and night vision is extremely sensitive. And then you're going to see a tree on the right. And the area in the middle of that, between the two phone poles and the tree, you're going to see kind of a glow. You're going to see a glow. And that glow is Las Vegas, Nevada, 65 miles away from me. So that's the glow you see between the phone poles and the tree. That's Las Vegas, Nevada. You're also probably going to see some stars. There's not that many stars, but you're going to see some stars in the photograph as well. There's many more fruitful areas of the sky. If we wanted to look at stars with night vision, I could do that. But we're seeing a substantial portion of the skies immediately above Las Vegas, Nevada, from Pahrump, Nevada, west of Las Vegas. So should anything really spectacular occur in this time period, I think that I would see it. I'm going to try and keep my eyes on it. It's kind of hypnotic. I'm watching it in real time while you get a snap of it every minute. And that's on my website if you feel like looking. Pretty cool. What I've done is I've reduced the color saturation, which I can do on the computer, and what that does is pull all of the green out of it. You know, night vision is normally green, and this would be, except I pulled the saturation out so that you have a night vision black and white picture from about 65 miles away. And again, that glow between the two phone poles and the tree, that's Las Vegas through a mountain pass. So we'll see. I mean, from here we may see nothing. Or, you know, I may be pointed at the wrong place in the sky, but I figured with the prediction the way it is, best bet, point toward Las Vegas. So you've got some ground references. Again, let me give it to you one more time. A tree on the left. Sometimes you'll see a car go by. Don't let that, you know, it's extremely bright. Then there's two telephone poles. And then there's a glow, an area, kind of a glowing area between the phone poles and the tree on the right, and that is Las Vegas. That is light from Las Vegas in the night sky here. Otherwise, it is a clear night. You will see some Las Vegas air traffic, and you'll be able to discern that, I'm sure, by the fact that in one picture it's there and the next picture it's there, you know, one minute apart, going either towards San Francisco or Seattle or back from. That would be the route that we'd be seeing in this portion of the sky. So I thought, what the hell, we'll put the webcam up, and if anything really wild happens, maybe we'll get a shot of it. I'm prepared to snap one instantly if I see something happening. You know what the problem is, though? I'm going to have to look away. I just realized I've got other things going on, so I can't stare at that screen all the time. In fact, I'm going to have to look away. You know, I have commercials, I have news, I have stuff I have to do, so I can't sit here and stare at it all the time. Sort of. Oh, there goes a car. Now, see, if it happened to snap one during that, you would have seen an extremely bright light that might have fooled you, and that would have been a car headlight. You know, in night vision, they're extremely bright. Well, all right. At least you got a little reference in that photograph. And I hope it stays up. I hope you can see it. All right, in a moment, we'll come back now. I should tell you that I have sources. I understand there's a large... I want to hear from somebody in this hour. Bob Lazar is coming up next hour. I want to hear from somebody out with the crowd right now, and I want to hear how big this crowd is and where they are and that kind of stuff. So everybody else, just don't call right now. I know that there's a lot of people with Kreskin or wherever it is. I want to have a description of where you are. So everybody else hang up, please. Only if you have a cell phone and you are with the Kreskin crowd should you call this radio program right now. That's all I'm going to take, with the exception of one call here. Otherwise, you had better be with the crowd when you call, because I really want to hear what's going on, and I want to bring it to the nation as best I can, and the best way I can do that is to use you all as reporters, right? So that's the deal. Everybody else, I don't care what you have to say, hang up, because we want to hear what's going on. Anyway, I want to hear what's going on. So that means you have to listen to what's going on, I guess. The numbers that you can use, first-time caller line, 775-727-1222. 1222. That's 775-727-1222, or the wildcard lines at 775, the area code, 727-1295, and the east and west of the Rockies lines. You can use those too. But unless you are with the crowd, unless you are with the Kreskin crowd, do not, repeat, do not call. Because along with the photograph that I've got every minute on the webcam, obviously I want to know what's going on out there and where everybody is and all that kind of thing. So with all that in mind, and I'll talk a little more about the whole Kreskin prediction in a second. We've been getting calls here nonstop about the thing, so I'll tell you more about it in a moment. All right. Here we are, coming up on 10:23 Pacific time right now, and once again, Kreskin has made a prediction, and we are in that window right now, for what it's worth. What I said last night, I'm going to repeat again tonight, for those of you who don't know what I think about this. I've said what I think, and I'll say it again. I can't figure out what the upshot of this is for Kreskin. I can't figure it out. If he'd made a prediction for a year or 2 years, then you could see how, you're going to get your publicity value out of it. And, but to predict something so close term, he predicted it for tonight within the week. That makes me wonder. He's put up $50,000 if he's wrong about this UFO prediction that says 3 or 4 craft are going to be seen by people in Las Vegas who are with Kreskin and out in the desert, and I'm out in the desert. I just saw a very neat falling star, and I'm sitting here looking at the lights of Las Vegas, as you can be if you wish. In the meantime, we are going to try and take calls, with the exception of this one coming up, only from people who are out there with the Kreskin crowd. And I know you've got cell phones and cameras, and, it's probably like Independence Day, right? Shouting for the aliens, hurry up and come in, and we welcome you, and all the rest of it. I can't figure out the psychology of what Kreskin has done. I just, for the life of me, cannot figure it out. Because the downside seems too great for whatever immediate publicity value you get. If it doesn't happen, the downside, and people are coming from Australia, right? The downside of this is that there'd be angry people, I suppose, if nothing happened. And then again, I'm going to qualify this by saying a lot of my audience is out there. I know that, and they know what they're doing. They know what a satellite looks like. Crossing the sky. They know what an airplane looks like. They know what navigation lights look like. They know what the space shuttle, should it come over, would look like. All of that. So, the majority of the crowd is going to be able to delineate between an event of that sort and the event, the kind of event that Kreskin is talking about. So I've really thought hard about this. I can't figure out what he's doing, why he's doing it. Seems the immediate downside's pretty heavy if he's wrong, and we've got, an hour and 35 minutes or so to find out whether he's right or wrong. All right, now I'm going to say this again. Only those of you out there with Kreskin need call right now. That's all. Only if you're out there with Kreskin. Everybody else hang up so we can find out what's going on. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art.
Hi there.
I'm out here at the Kreskin deal.
Okay, you are out there.
Yes, I am.
All right.
And it's over.
What do you mean it's over?
I mean, some people saw some things, and most of us didn't see anything.
Well, then how do you know it's over?
Well, everybody's going home. Kreskin turned off the lights and shut down the microphone system.
Whoa. Did Kreskin say it was over?
Yes, Kreskin said it was over.
You're kidding.
No. And also, you're not going to believe who I was standing behind.
Who?
Dannion Brinkley.
Dannion was there?
Yes.
Did Dannion see anything?
As soon as everybody started, well, not everybody, as soon as 5 or 10 people started seeing things.
Yeah.
Dannion said, he was with 2 girls, and he said, well, we can gather the kids and go home now.
That's Dannion, all right.
And he said, the girls were saying, well, what do you think's going on? And he said, well, they're seeing what they need to see.
Yeah. Well, how many people do you think were out there?
I would say probably about 1,000.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
And how many people do you think started screaming they saw something?
About 11 or 12.
Listen,
Well, and you know what?
Listen, hold on, sir, all right?
All right.
All right, hold on. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast.
Get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime. Sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring.
Well, all right, there, you just heard what Ramona saw. She was outside, and I wasn't looking at the webcam at that time, so I don't know if it caught any of it. But, look, we're going to continue for the next few minutes anyway to take calls only from people who are out there, in the Kreskin area or with the Kreskin group. It's now said that it's over. Let me bring this caller back on. You're back on now. Hello?
Hi, this is Joel in Vegas.
Yeah, hey there. So, anyway, it's over.
It's over.
And what would you say the majority of the people thought?
They thought that we did see some low-flying airplanes go over.
Kind of like my wife just described?
Yes, of course. Of course, we're right here by the airport.
Yeah.
And that was the consensus.
That it was airplanes.
Yes.
Okay. Listen. I'm going to move on and try to get some more, witnesses like yourself, and try to get a sense of.
The only people that saw it were the people that were in the show before he went out there. So it was like a hypnosis deal.
Okay. I appreciate the call. Were you in the show?
No, I wasn't in the show.
Well, then I don't know how you can know that it was a hypnosis deal. But that's interesting. Very interesting. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello. I take it you're in Las Vegas?
That's correct.
Okay. So what do you have to tell me?
Well, I was in the show, and of the 500 people in the showroom, he dismissed about 200 and kept 300, pulled them down to the front of the stage, and did a little extra with us. I don't really think it was hypnosis. We walked in about a quarter of a mile.
Okay, let me stop you. You say he dismissed a couple hundred from the audience, kept about 300, and did what?
He actually, I don't think I would call it hypnosis. I wouldn't call it a trance. I wouldn't even call it a suggestion. But he did some of the close your eyes and hold your arm out in front of you, straight, rigid, and now you're unable to put it down, and visualize a circle in your palm. It's standard mentalist. Kreskin is a fabulous mentalist.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with seeing UFOs?
Nothing at all.
Nothing. Okay, so you went out with the group, right?
Yes.
And it was estimated there were 1,000 people there by another caller. Is that?
I would say 400 to 500. I did not see 1,000.
All right, 400 or 500.
And he dismissed the crowd at 10:20. I mean, 20 minutes after the hour.
So then it sounds like what my wife saw would have been about the right time, about 10:15.
She actually got a better show than we did.
Really?
So there were maybe.
So now, what did Kreskin say for himself when he said it's over?
That was it. He just said that is the conclusion. Everyone is dismissed, and good night. He made no explanation for what was seen or was not seen. The crowd was understandably not very excited because, after all, we are in the flight path. We're right under the McCarran flight path.
Yeah, I know. So then, as you point out...
I personally saw nothing.
Then, as you point out, my wife apparently had a better view of it than you all did.
I believe she did. I personally saw nothing.
Of these 4 airplanes.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
I personally saw nothing.
4 airplanes. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And you personally saw nothing. Okay. Well, just based on what I'm hearing here, it sure sounds like a miss to me. But, we're yet to hear from, let's just keep moving. Hello there. Are you out there with the Kreskin crowd?
Yes.
Okay. You're on a cell phone too, huh?
Yes.
A hummy one too. What's your first name?
Tia.
Tia. Okay, Tia. So what's the deal?
Well, everyone's saying that they didn't see anything, but I definitely saw something.
What'd you see?
I definitely saw a couple ships.
You saw a couple of ships.
I did. I mean, they were saying they saw a lot of low-flying airplanes, which we did see. We did. But I saw them. They were very obvious to me.
Mm-hmm. Were you one of the 300 people that Kreskin kept after his show?
No.
No?
But I was in the show. Yeah, I was in the they're saying the hypnosis thing?
Yeah.
I was in that, yes.
Oh, you were in that?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Bless your heart, and thank you very much for the call. So she was in that select group, but says she saw something. Are you out there with the Kreskin crowd?
No, I'm in North Las Vegas.
North Las Vegas, yes?
Yes, sir. My daughter and I were looking at a cigar-shaped object that's directly overhead just about. And it's brightly lit.
Is that going on right now?
Yes, right now we're both sitting here looking at it, and there's like a smaller object that seems to be moving back and forth away from it.
Huh.
It's weird, but it's nowhere near downtown.
Yeah, I hear you. Kreskin said it's already over.
Yeah, we were listening to that on the show, so I don't think this has anything to do with that, but this is definitely not a star or
something different.
It's a cigar.
All right, well, let's see if we get more reports of it.
Yeah, this is in North Las Vegas.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for the report, and take care. You know, there's going to be a lot of sightings of a lot of things. I mean, there were a lot of people out, of course, just, watching. And, when you pay attention to the sky, you see things that some of them are hard to explain. Just comes from looking. People don't usually look at the sky. But I'm still saying, I think, from what I'm hearing so far, this doesn't sound like much to me. Doesn't sound like a hit to me. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Art, this is Ginger. I'm out at the site.
Hey, Ginger.
Yeah.
So let's.
I was one of the ones that was hypnotized, or whatever you call it.
Okay.
I don't know if he was giving suggestions and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm very suggestible. I thought I'd see something.
Right.
And we saw planes.
Planes.
But it was a great scene. There was lots of people. They're selling beer and water and.
Beer and water.
That's a great, for free. I got a free Kreskin book. Free Kreskin pictures were passed out by the radio station.
Yes, dear. But the all critical thing is, you didn't see a damn thing, huh?
Not really.
And what was it like when Kreskin stood up there and said, "It's over"?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, you didn't?
We didn't hear that. His mic wasn't very loud.
I see.
But when we were like in the little room there and he was like telling us what was going to happen, we were going to see something, we were going to get a message. He says, when I drop the handkerchief, then you're going to, that's when it's going to start happening.
Yeah. And
just remember what you saw and tell everybody.
And so he went out there and he dropped a handkerchief.
Dropped a handkerchief twice.
Twice?
And then, we're seeing planes and people going, isn't that the flight path? Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, flight path. Okay. That's yes, go ahead.
There's one other thing that I can't figure out is he said it was like from 9:50 till midnight.
That's right.
Why did he leave at 10:15?
Well, because he said it was all over.
Yeah.
One of our callers said he said it was all over.
Right, but he's the one that said till midnight, so you would think he would hang. It's like, what up?
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point, and I appreciate your making it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, I don't know. It sounds like a bus to me. It sounds like they were airplanes, and it sounds like they're exactly the same thing my wife saw coming from this side, as she pointed out, in the San Francisco flight path, and that there were 4 of them, and but they were definitely airplanes. So there's obviously going to be local television coverage and that sort of thing, and we'll see how they report it. But based on talking with those of you that were on the scene so far, it looks like phooey to me. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hello. Hello there. No, you're not. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, is this Art Bell show?
Yes, it is. Where are you?
I'm in Vegas.
Okay. Were you at this affair?
Yes.
And what, pray tell, did you see?
I thought I saw something, but it flashed across the sky so fast that I couldn't really tell what it was. It was some kind of light. But
were you in with the crowd that?
Yeah.
You were.
One of the crowd that supposedly was hypnotized or whatever you want to call it.
I see. Did you see all this when the handkerchief fell?
Sort Shortly after, yeah.
Shortly after. All right. I appreciate the testimony. Thank you. I think we're getting a picture here, huh? Just talking to people is the best way to get a picture of what happened. You beginning to get a picture of what happened out there? I am. I certainly am. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, turn your radio off. That's
Okay,
the first
turn the
thing you
radio off.
gotta do.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
Hurry.
Yeah, turn the radio
Hurry.
off. Hurry to turn that radio off. Now they've still got it on.
I know. We're turning it off. Is that better?
Yes, thank you. All right, so I take it you're out with what was the crowd?
Yeah, actually, we're out at Blue Diamond and Industrial,
Oh, yeah, okay.
and a lot of people showed up. I would say, I mean, they had police control, everything out here.
Uh-huh.
The only thing that I've seen, which was on a satellite pattern, however, the only thing that I saw was a very green light, but it took the same pattern as a satellite, but it was very bright green.
Did it move across the sky at a regular rate?
No, it was much slower than a plane, but much, and it was actually slower than a satellite too.
Okay, well, what was promised? Look, what was promised was 3 or 4 craft, and the biggest sighting of the century, and I don't think we got that. Do you?
I'm waiting. But you know what? He said till midnight. I'm not really sure if he left or what the deal is with that because I'm not privy to that.
I've got callers telling me he left. Now, we'll play it on the safe side and wait till midnight, but he said, Kreskin apparently said it's over.
You know what? I'm not privy to that conversation. However, I am out here, and there are literally hundreds of people still out here, probably maybe even 1,000 people still out here. A lot of people have left, but there's still a lot of people out here.
Uh-huh.
So I'm waiting to see what's going to go on.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I want to see something.
I understand, and I understand that was a motivation for a lot of people. So you're actually at a different location. Blue Diamond it's kind of dark out toward Blue Diamond, away from the city a little bit, and not as dark as we have it over here, but it's darker. And
it's very dark.
And so you're telling me at that location there's like 1,000 people, huh?
Oh yeah, easily.
So
we're about 50 yards away from where they had all the big lights in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, they had like they had the big lights on. They turned the lights off at 10 o'clock, and and the news stations were out here, and so I mean, they're still here. Everybody's still here. A lot of people have left, but there are a lot of people still here.
All right. Well, okay. The word is that Kreskin, just so you know, apparently, according to my other caller, said it's over. It's over.
Well, it ain't over for me, honey. I'm staying till midnight.
You hang in there. You hang in there. I'll see you later. All right. Good. She's going to stay till midnight. Fine. And there is a plane crawling across right now, bright plane. I'm watching the skies above Las Vegas, and there's a pretty bright plane that's crossing right now. That's a night vision camera I've got on, and again, you're seeing on the left 2 telephone poles. Then you're seeing a little glow in the sky. That's Las Vegas, and then the tree on the right. Those are closer. I'd say it was about a half mile away, and then you're seeing a big piece of the sky of Las Vegas on my webcam. Now, Ramona did see the apparent airplanes. That's what more people not are calling what was seen. And that's what it was. This is going to be in bus territory, I think. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Art. It's Kate from Out There TV.
Hi, Kate.
Hi. I just had an opportunity to interview Mr. Kreskin about what he just did.
Yes.
Would you like me to play it for you? I have it on tape. You should be able to hear it. I'll play just a bit, and if you can hear it, do you want me to let it go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
For KPVM Channel 41 in Pahrump, Nevada, the Rock Art Bell.
Well, there's many sightings.
Many, and I'm afraid I didn't see one, and I'm a believer.
Did you get that part?
Yeah, I heard that.
I'll continue.
So did you really see something?
Saw it in your mind.
Oh.
And actually, what we were doing, were you at the...
I was there.
Where I said that I was showing a technique that could be used by enemies. It had nothing to do with physical. It had to do with human.
So does it make you feel bad at all that a lady just spent $600 to come come down here from Seattle, Washington on her own money. And
I didn't tell her to do that.
No, but you made the people believe that it would be able to be seen anywhere
No, I
in
did
Southern
not.
Nevada. Oh,
No,
yes,
I did
you
not.
did. I heard you
Yeah.
say that, sir. I was there Monday night.
How's that?
Okay, I heard all that. So,
Okay.
Listen, I've taken a whole bunch of calls, and so far, some people said they saw airplanes. My own wife saw airplanes from this side of the hill. That was it, though. You
that's
saw.
all I saw.
Yeah, that's all you
That's
saw
all
is
I
airplanes.
saw. But we did have somebody who was in our group, and she does claim to see it, and we're going to have her talk about it on out there tomorrow or Sunday night. But none of us saw it, and there were like 30 of us together.
So,
And there's nobody left there now.
would you say the general consensus was that it was a bust?
It was a bust. It was a hoax. It was a cheap trick.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Thanks for your call. There you go. That's an opinion. And what I wanted to do tonight was to get on here and to give you a sense of what was going on, and I think you've got it. I'll try one more here. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, I wasn't part of the Kreskin crowd, but I
Yes.
do have something to tell you.
Well, where are you? First of all, in Los.
Well, me and my girlfriend were
No, dear,
going
stop. Where are you?
right now.
Yes, in what city?
Oh, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay.
We're out here right now. We're sitting out here in the middle of the desert. Well, we taken our horses and we were going up to Potosi so that we could see this phenomenon.
Right.
And we didn't make it because my truck broke down, and we had to break down up at Red Rock. And this was about 8:40 tonight. Here we are, didn't make it, and we saw something up at Red Rock. It was an amber, and it blew out four different times.
Hon, I saw that too. Those were 4 flares, and I saw them go up myself. Those were flares.
Okay, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I knew I saw something.
Yeah, I saw 4 flares over Potosi at different positions over Potosi, and you could tell they were flares because they went up, and they were orange, and then they faded right out the way flares do.
This was over by Red Rock?
Well, you would have seen it from that direction, but I saw it from this direction. It was actually over Potosi, and you could see it was clearly flares. And if you think about it, how they went up, you could see them going up, then they flared up at the top, and then they faded away. Those were flares.
Okay. Well, you know what? I never seen anything like that before. It was pretty intriguing.
You've never
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Now, those were 4 flares, and I saw those because I was out setting up the webcam at that time, and I said, "Oh man, look at that flares!" And I called my wife out, and she saw one of them too. Those were 4 flares that somebody fired, but if somebody wanted us to think those were UFOs, they out their mind. Those were absolutely flares. All right. So Kreskin saying it's all over. I think that I gave you a pretty good picture, I hope I did, of what's going on out there tonight, just over the hill from me.
And here is Kreskin. Kreskin, hello there.
Harsh?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. Well, last night, Kreskin, I took a night vision camera and pointed it toward the skies of Las Vegas early in the evening, actually beginning about 8:30, in order to capture what you said was going to occur. And when you came on the program, you said that there would be 3 to 4 craft involved in the biggest. Wait, no. Let me finish. No, let me finish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A maximum of 3 to 4 craft. Fine. In the biggest sighting in a century, and that hundreds would witness it, and it would be the biggest event of their lives, that kind of thing. And that's what you said on this program.
That's right.
And then in an update, you essentially repeated the same thing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, now let's shift to what
How
happened.
long did you have the camera out?
Oh, we had the camera until gee whiz past midnight. But anyway, let's continue. I monitored. I did an hour talking to people phones.
Right.
So that I could sort of get the flavor, of what was going on.
Yeah.
And let's see, at 10:20 approximately, I understand you dropped a couple of hankies. Actually, 10:15 I dropped a couple of hankies, and then you told everybody it was all over and left. And
I said my participation was over and I left.
Your participation was over and you left. Yeah, about 10:20, right?
I don't remember the exact time.
Yeah, it was about 10:20.
Was it 10:20?
Yeah, because people on the phone told me. about 10:20. And actually, I was in a way thankful because I had a guest coming on, and I thought, oh man, it's going to rip, another guest somewhere. So anyway, so I had a lot of calls, and everybody said that nothing happened.
They must be embarrassed today, huh, Art?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't think so. Because you said that
there'd be hundreds.
Well, you did say that, hundreds.
Yeah, so I was wrong. It was thousands.
Yeah, but you said it was all over at 10:15 or 20, somewhere in there.
I said I had to leave because the documentary people needed to interview me, so I said my participation here is all over.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody left.
You sent me a press release today. Or your people did.
Yeah.
Your people originally contacted me to get on there, and that's fine. And then today I got this press release, and what the press release says in part, quoting you, my original intention was to demonstrate a scenario how an enemy possessing the same skill and abilities as myself might create a mass happening on an even larger scale and over a much greater territorial area, said Kreskin. Now, so in other words, your original intention was deception.
My original intention was using psychological persuasion to show how.
When you came on my show, it was deception.
Well, you could say deception.
I did. Okay, so that was deception.
For a reason that was very...
But there's a difference. I have a lot of people on my show. I'm usually a pretty long guy, Kreskin. I have a lot of people on my program that are visionaries and psychics and...
Well, I'm not a psychic.
I know. You say you're a mentalist, right? I said you were a magician, then you said mentalist.
Well,
but
I'm not a psychic.
You do say you're a mentalist, right?
I'm a mentalist, but I'm not a psychic.
In fact, you corrected me. Anyway, I have a lot of the program, you must understand, do claim to be visionary, and there are some things in them. But they didn't plan from the beginning to deceive. And so what I think you did is really lame. I'm telling you, face to face, lame. Not only that, but I now understand that you have you've reneged on your deal to give $50,000. You are not giving $50,000 to charity, right?
The reason is because of the success of the prediction.
Oh, baloney.
May I finish?
Yeah. Finish.
Well, thanks to NBC, and obviously people know about the traffic jams on Las Vegas Boulevard last night. As it turns out, at 11:03,
somebody saw something.
Well, not somebody saw something. Some 60-some people saw something.
Actually, again...
if I can't finish now.
Yeah, you can finish.
Well, I'd like to finish.
60 people
because,
saw something.
No, it was thousands of people.
On TV, you mean on TV?
But I'd like to finish.
Go ahead.
What happened was that the prediction also stated that the phenomena would take place between the 10:15 and midnight. That was the time done many times. And I told the audience in the theater, now you understand, when we went outside, there were about 1,000 other people there who were partying and drunk and so forth. I mean, they didn't really, they weren't even with it. The audience...
Actually, there were thousands. There were other locations where people gathered.
But the people outside did not know what I had told the audience in the theater, and that was that this whole plan was, first of all, to show something that had worried me greatly since 9/11, how ruthlessly an enemy could utilize and manipulate the imagination of people's minds and use it in a very serious manner.
Yeah, but that's what you did.
I'd like to finish.
That's what you did. That's what you did. You did terrorism. You did terrorism.
Well, but I'd like to finish. I'd like to finish what happened. As I've said since Monday, from 10:15 to midnight was the time spectrum of this whole phenomena. At 11:03, as the crews were packing, now the suggestion I planted in the minds of the 41 people was basically something of a green light type effect, although some people were crying because they felt noise and vibrations and so forth, but that's a very subjective phenomena.
41 people.
41 because of the nine college students that ran into the distance and came back to the casino.
That's not hundreds.
I'm talking about thousands.
No, you're talking about.
I haven't finished.
Yes. Well, okay. So that we might.
I might have finished what happened.
Yeah. There was an object seen and filmed.
No, there wasn't an object seen. What happened at 11:03, as the crews were packing, is that one of the people glanced up and saw what I had suggested as a green light form, but of course I was inside being interviewed further, starting in the same pattern as the others had hallucinated. At 11:04, a second one appeared, and thank God, a gentleman from NBC here in Las Vegas, his camera was still on.
I know.
So he called, Steve Krupp, he called and interrupted the news broadcast, and literally thousands of people saw this phenomena take place. As a matter of fact, there are two people who left letters here.
Well, you know what, Kreskin? It doesn't matter because you intended to deceive from the beginning.
You may say that, but the truth of the matter is that there were thousands for the first. Where have in history, we've all seen films that can be altered, but people saw this for real because some of the crew called home to tell their families and said, we're watching it. And if anyone saw the playbacks this morning on the news, and at noon, it was seen originally live by, now in the end, sure, it may, who knows what it could be. It could be someone throwing plates at someone.
Could be anything. There were people firing flares.
Well,
there's crap going on. Look, my point is that in your own words, in your own press release today, it was intentional deception.
No, it was not intentional deception.
Oh, yeah, when you came on my program and said what you said,
how ruthlessly people are conditioned.
It was ruthless.
This could have been loyal art, and that needed something.
I had a lady from Channel 41 television who was there, grabbed a quick interview with you. And she asked you, because we played it on the air, she held the phone up to the recorder, and she said, you know, some poor lady came down here and from Seattle. Let me finish and
very vividly.
And spent $600 coming down here. And you said, well, I didn't tell her to come down here.
I did not tell her to come down.
And
furthermore, if she stayed, she would have seen the phenomena that she was looking for.
But the deception...
If she stayed, she would have seen the phenomena, because it was within the framework of 9:45 to midnight, and it did happen within 9:45 to midnight. Had she stayed, as some of the other people did, and who have sent letters to me and called me, she would have seen right there what some 16 newsmen and crew people saw, and thousands
you know what? By your own words...
So actually, I did not tell her to fly in. I did not tell her to fly in.
Kreskin, I know you didn't, but
and
it seems to me...
I would never have suggested anyone do something like that.
Yeah, even if you don't give the $50,000, you ought to give that lady her money back. Anyway,
well, then she should have, perhaps if she flew first class, but the point of the matter is, there was a sighting involving thousands of people, and it was live. And as MSNBC and Fox News, in long discussions with me, verified, it did take place in the hour of 9:45 to 12 midnight.
Yes, it did.
And consequently, I was successful in that part of the prediction came about.
Well, you had planned. Listen.
By the way, I happened to have been the night before performing 50. I don't even want to tell you how close to the Twin Towers. 5 days later, I walked there while Regis was coming back towards me, and it's a setting I can never forget.
Yeah, and what you did, the Twin Towers have no relationship whatsoever, except they're both acts, in my opinion, of terrorism. Take care, Kreskin. I'll tell you something else. I have in all the years that I've done this kind of programming, I have never banned but let's see, 1, 2, 3, or 4 people from my show. So you can still count it on one hand, but add one. Kreskin, you're banned from my show. He hung up. He's banned forevermore from my show while I do this program. He will never again appear. I know exactly how it came down, and I read his press release today, and in his own press release he admits that he intended to deceive, as compared to what he said twice on my program. to the entire listening audience, it was, I thought, very clear. Was it not very clear to you? He claims 41 people here saw it. This, again, his own press release, dated today, June 7th, from his office. And it has quotes around his words. Quote, my original intention was to demonstrate a scenario how an enemy possessing the same skill and abilities as myself might create a mass happening on an even larger scale and over a much larger territorial area, end quote. In other words, he knew damn well when he came on my program and said there would be as many as 3 or 4 craft. It would be the sighting of the century, and there would be hundreds of people involved in seeing it. And he went out there and at about 10, 15, or 20 in that area and dropped 2 handkerchiefs. Now, he had done some work with an audience and maintained about 300 of that audience inside during a show. And he had been doing a little mental work with them. And I guess the dropping of the handkerchief was some sort of key for them to see something. So his original intent, whatever in the hell happened later in the night after everybody left and was packing up, is completely irrelevant. Totally, completely irrelevant. And I draw a line between those guests that I have on the program who claim to be visionaries or mentalists or psychics or whatever word they use and claim to have had a vision or information come to that's come to them that says something or another will happen. Well, if it doesn't happen, at least they came to me honestly. And I don't feel that was the case with the somewhat, in my opinion, very much less than amazing Kreskin. That was not the case. He did not come to me honestly. And yes, I'm pissed. You bet I'm pissed. And he is banned. Banned from this show forever. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Oh woman, don't treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen. I guess if you say so, I'll have to pack my things and go.